If the Boston Celtics lose this series, what will it mean for this franchise?
It's also going to cost $500 million. You're paying for the operation of the house and you're paying the mortgage payment. That's what's coming for the Celtics own. $500 million is a lot of money. That's not just like an inconvenience that you're going to have to pay for a payroll.
The Boston Celtics are facing a historic $500 million decision. 5 players making over $28 million next season, a league record. A potential salary bill of $500 million. That would be NBA history.
The house costs a bunch of money to operate and everything like that. Now you're making 2 payments. You're paying for the operation of the house and you're paying the mortgage payment. That's what's coming for the Celtics own.
But here's where it gets fascinating. The teams spending the most on their stars are often the ones watching the finals from home.
The New York Knicks, they're 1 win away from being back in the conference finals for the first time.
The 2025 Suns with KD, Book, and Bradley Beal didn't even make the playoffs.
The madness here, Perk. I'm looking at the Phoenix Suns. First of all, let's back up. How would you describe them right now?
A disaster, a team that has quit on their coach.
The Lakers with LeBron and Luka, first round exit despite their incredible star power. This isn't just about money. It's about the fundamental trap that's reshaping the NBA's landscape.
Alright, here's how I would rebuild the Lakers this offseason and turn them into title contenders. So the first thing to figure out is the LeBron James thing. He's got a $52.5 million player option for next year. But also, hey LeBron, why not just do like a Dirk Nowitzki or Tom Brady and take a $10 million deal? But hey, I'm not here to pocket watch. The next order of business is extending Luka and re-signing Dorian Finney-Smith.
Based on how it looks right now, Lakers are caps is about $178 million next year.
I won't worry about that, man. Come on.
I'm just letting you know.
You ain't worried about. Stop worrying about the cap.
I'm not worried. I'm just reporting the information as it is.
Man,
The difference between championship parades and wasted prime years might come down to an understanding this overall truth about roster construction. On the surface, this makes perfect sense. Stars wins championships. You need elite talent to compete at the highest level. No one's arguing that.
One of the things I think has changed a little bit over the course of the NBA was it was quote unquote you have to have 3 guys. Right. But I think what's happened now is because of the pace of the game and the speed of the game, sometimes having 3 guys like that financially doesn't allow you to kind of build out your team.
Right.
To your point, absolutely. You look at any great team, they have a guy that's really, really elite.
When you look at the 2023 Nuggets with Jokic.
Just gets it off in time. It's up. Oh, it's good. Of course it goes in.
The 2022 Warriors with Curry.
Shots. Curry again. Oh, Steph Curry from way downtown.
Or the 2021 Bucks with Giannis.
Phoenix has the foul. Antetokounmpo throws it down.
Each championship team was led by a transcendent superstar. That's why teams mortgage their futures for players like Luka, KD, and once upon a time, players like Paul George. But there's a complexity here that most fans, and surprisingly many front offices, seem to overlook. The NBA's current collective bargaining agreement has created a system where the consequences of being top-heavy are more severe than ever before.
All season long, people have been talking about and mostly complaining about the new CBA, but the new CBA has some other unforeseen wrinkles that will be playing out in the future as well as soon as this off season for NBA teams as they try to better their roster through trades and think towards the future with some of the exceptions that they have that typically were reserved for signing players now being eligible to be used for taking back players and deals.
With the NBA salaries cap rising to $154.6 million for the 2025 to 2026 season, and the second tax apron set at $207.8 million, teams are facing extreme financial penalties. But the real cost isn't measured in dollars. It's measured in something far more valuable to championship contenders, and that's roster flexibility.
Essentially, a cap hold is a mechanic that allows teams to go over the salary cap when re-signing their own players.
Teams above the second apron for 3 consecutive years face what executives call the cliff. Frozen first-round picks, inability to move salaries and trades, and limited exceptions. And the Celtics are staring directly at this cliff, which is why ESPN's Shams reported that they'll be exploring trades this offseason.
Greeny, Giannis Antetokounmpo, the 2-time NBA MVP, he has not made any firm decisions about his future, but sources tell me for the first time in his 12-year NBA career, he is open-minded about whether his best fit is in Milwaukee or playing elsewhere and exploring what those options outside of Milwaukee look like. Is it sensible for him?
This is where the trap reveals itself. Teams go all in on stars now, only to discover they've sacrificed the depth they need later.
For example, the Miami Heat, who also have some expiring contracts and are looking to sign Giannis in the summer 2021. In order to bring in Giannis and his max contract for the Raptors scenario specifically, because they only have one max contract space slot here, they would have to release their cap hold and the bird rights that they hold over Kyle Lowry in order to create the cap space to sign Giannis.
And the data tells a surprising story. Looking at champions over the last decade reveals a pattern that most fans and even some GMs completely miss. Championship teams typically allocate about 50% of their cap to the top 2 players, 30% to the next 3 rotation players, and 20% to the rest of the roster. I call this the 50-30-20 rule. Teams that ignore this balance almost never win championships, regardless of how many All-NBA players they have. Take the Lakers' current construction. Despite landing Luka with LeBron, the Lakers committed way too much to these 2 superstars without filling the rest of the roster. And what was the result? Their supporting cast couldn't provide enough when they faced Minnesota in the first round.
Genzo inside, got it to go off glass. Edwards, Hachimura. Edwards with the tween. Over to Reed, catch and shoot 3 on the way, and he laces another one.
When defenses focused on containing Luka and LeBron, they lacked reliable secondary creators and shooters, while also struggling with obvious size issues. Compare that to the Cavs' approach this season. Despite having 2 high-level players in Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley, they maintained enough flexibility to build one of the deepest teams in the league. Their salary distribution closely follows the 50-30-20 pattern, which helped them to secure 60-plus wins and become a legitimate contender. But this raises an important question. If stars are so valuable, why do teams with the highest paid duos often fail in the playoffs? To understand this, we'll need to look beyond the regular season and examine what happens when the game matters the most. Here's where it gets interesting. Let's call this the depth resilience. The basketball equivalent of seeing how your team performs when the star treatment isn't working, and the numbers are eye-opening. Balanced teams maintain 85% of their effectiveness when their star gets neutralized. Top-heavy teams, they collapse to 65%, and suddenly those max contracts feel like watching your championship window slam shut in real time. This becomes critical in the playoffs where injuries are more common, and defensive schemes specifically target star players. Check this out from this year's 2025 playoffs. The Thunder supporting cast of Chet, Jalen Williams, and Lou Dort stepped up when SGA faced double teams. Meanwhile, the Nuggets with Nikola Jokic and friends struggled when defenses contained their stars because their supporting cast couldn't capitalize on the 4-on-3 advantages. The new CBA makes this trap even more dangerous. Teams above the second apron not only pay massive luxury tax bills, but lose crucial team building tools. No mid-level exception, no combining salaries and trades, frozen draft picks, game over. And as you can imagine, it creates a downward spiral. Top-heavy teams struggling to add role players, which makes them more vulnerable to injuries and playoff defensive schemes, which leads to earlier playoff exits, which increases pressure to add more star power, which further eliminates depth. The Thunder are honestly looking like the blueprint. Despite having an All-NBA player in SGA, they've maintained depth through smart drafting and development. Again, shout out Paul George. Chet, Jalen Williams, and Isaiah Joe are all on rookie or team-friendly contracts, helping them secure the best record in the Western Conference. But not every team has been so fortunate. The Suns with KD, Book, and Bradley Beal on massive contracts couldn't surround them with adequate talent, missing the playoffs completely despite the star power they had. The Lakers had obvious holes when they acquired Luka, leaving them vulnerable when facing deeper teams in the playoffs. Even the Bucks would lose in another series due to the holes in their roster. This pattern isn't just a coincidence. It's the secret formula that separates dynasties from disappointments. So what does this all tell us about the stars now, depth later trap? It's not that stars aren't valuable. They absolutely are. But the best approach to roster construction is more nuanced than simply getting the most star power possible. The data reveals that championship teams typically follow the 50-30-20 rule, and the balance allows teams to withstand injuries, adapt to playoff matchups, and maintain flexibility for future moves. The teams that have fallen into the trap, the Lakers, Suns, Mavericks, Bucks, all made the same crucial mistake. They sacrificed too much depth and flexibility for star power, believing that they could figure the rest out later. But later never comes, because the constraints of the salary cap and CBA makes it nearly impossible to rebuild depth once you've committed so much to your stars. So why do smart GMs keep falling into this trap? It's simple. They get the glory for landing stars today, but the bill for sacrificing depth doesn't come due until tomorrow. Classic short-term thinking with long-term consequences. The Celtics are about to become a perfect case study. They've won with their star-heavy approach, But now they're staring at the cliff edge that no team has survived. Will they be the exception? Or will they become the most expensive cautionary tale in NBA history? This completely reframes how we should evaluate roster construction. It's not just about how many stars you have, it's about whether you've maintained the right balance between star power and depth to withstand the challenges of an 82-game season and 4 playoff rounds. This idea doesn't just apply to the Celtics. It gives us a new lens to evaluate every team in the league. Next time you're evaluating your favorite team's moves, look beyond the star acquisitions and ask, are they maintaining the right balance? Have they allocated their resources according to something close to the 50-30-20 rule? Do they have the depth to withstand injuries and adapt to playoff matchups? The game has changed, but our thinking hasn't. While we're busy celebrating max contracts and super team formations, the smartest front offices are quietly exploiting the most valuable market inefficiency in basketball: the perfect balance between stars and role players. The question isn't just whether a team has enough star power. It's whether they've avoided the stars now, depth later trap that has derailed so many promising contenders. As we watch the Celtics navigate their $500 million decision this offseason, we'll see a case study in whether a team can defy the historical pattern and maintain a championship-level performance while pushing the boundaries of the NBA's financial structure. The teams that master this balance aren't just building for one parade, they're creating dynasties. In a league obsessed with stars, the true championship formula might be hiding in plain sight. It's not about how brightly your stars shine, but whether you've built a constellation around them. Don't forget to leave me a like and sub if you rock with this type of content. Turn on those post notifications because we cover all things NBA. Peace.